tickets.
Do me a
to see
favor,
it at
because
the
we got
Barclay
Patrick here.
yesterday.
Daniel, we're going to put you on hold. Put Daniel on hold.
Yeah.
All right?
Well, let you finish your point.
Yeah.
We don't want to cut you off early.
Because we got Patrick Ewing here.
We've got a Hall of Famer.
We got one of the greats.
One of the New York
This is an honor.
icons.
It's unbelievable. The great Patrick Ewing, the head coach of Georgetown, one of the great Knicks of all time, the Hall of Famer, one of the great college players that ever lived. I could go on. Patrick, how are you? Joe and Evan in New York.
I'm doing good, fellas. How about you guys?
I'm doing all right. We're doing all right.
Year 3 now, I guess, for you as the head coach of Georgetown. Give me your impression, because a long-time assistant, obviously. Both Joe and I think you got hosed. You should have been a head coach in the NBA. We'll say it for you.
Why not coach the Knicks? You should have been doing that.
Right. What is this?
Wow.
What has this experience been like for you, especially at your alma mater, as you are in the midst of beginning your 3rd year coaching Georgetown? What's it been like?
Oh, it's been great. You know, we're still running, still working, still trying to build the culture and trying to get it back to where it was when I was playing. But you know, we just keep on working. I'm enjoying working with these kids and trying to develop them and keep them, you know, get them to be the best players that they can be.
Is coaching tougher than playing, Patrick? I would think it is, right? Because you can't get out on the court, right? You know.
Definitely, it definitely is. I'm depending on others to do the things that I'm trying to get them to do. You know, when I was playing, they were doing it to me. But I've been working to get to this point in my career, and I'm very happy and honored to finally, you know, be here, be a head coach, and I'm trying to do the best I possibly can.
And you got your team ready to play in the 25th annual 2K Empire Classic, which is a great event. It benefits the Wounded Warrior Project, which is one of the most important things out there. What does a game like this, Madison Square Garden, against a top 25 team like Texas, how about this experience for some of your younger guys, going up against good competition and obviously doing it at an arena you are quite familiar with?
Well, it's always great to come back home. New York is still home. Madison still Garden is still home, still the Mecca. I think the games are great. You know, for the Wounded Warriors, helping our veterans. But play a game like Texas, they're a great team. They're very well coached. You know, they're ranked, so we just have to bring our A game. I think it's great for not only the young guys but the older guys. All these games are going to get us prepared for once the Big East schedule kicks in, and then also hopefully NCAA berth.
Again, talking to the great Patrick Ewing. When you coach, let me ask you. I'll ask it to you this way. Do you think that there's some kind of a bias? I've heard this before, Patrick, about biases to big men as far as coaching in the NBA. I mean, I've heard it seems ridiculous. Why is that? You believe that? Why?
I think so. I mean, I've worked to be an NBA coach for a lot of years, and it never happened. I was given a few interviews, but never was able to get a position. But for whatever the reason, a lot of people think big men are stupid, that we're dumb, we can't think. They think the only ones that can think on the court are the guards. I beg to differ. You know, I was the anchor of the defense. I called out all the defensive signal that we were doing. I also called out some of the plays that we ran. But, you know, it is what it is. I can't, you know, cry over spilt milk. I wasn't given an opportunity, but I have one now, and my goal is to be the best coach I possibly can be.
Do you think the job that you have as a college coach is actually more difficult than being an NBA head coach? You've got to recruit kids, go into their home.
Oh, yeah, very much more difficult. Just like you said, you hit the nail on the head. This gig is a year-round, 24/7, 365-day year job. You really don't get a break. The only break you get is the one that you make yourself take. During the season, you have to practice. You have to make sure that they're going to class, not getting in any trouble. All season, you have to go recruiting, and recruiting, you're all over the place. You're always trying to get the best players you can to help your program to be successful. So it's a year-round job.
Does it help?
I love it.
Does it help you, Patrick, that you were the great player that you were? You know, you come into a young kid's house, you're Patrick Ewing. I mean, does that help you?
No, it hasn't helped me yet. It's funny because I was talking to a parent that I was recruiting their kid, And they're like, "Oh, I love you. You're my favorite player." And I told them, I said, "I've been here 3 years. I'm going on my third year." And every parent that has told me that they love me or I was their best, one of my biggest fans, I haven't got any of their kids. So I'm like, I said, I hope this breaks that jinx.
Right. That's funny. That's
great. We're talking to the Hall of Famer, Patrick Ewing, head coach of Georgetown. They're going to be participating in the 2K Empire Classic at Madison Square Garden. When you think back to your Knick days, and trust me, Patrick, a lot of Knick fans think about it all the time.
Oh, my God.
Because the current time isn't great. Is there one memory, one moment that just jumps out above the rest when you think of your heyday being the leader, the star, the captain of the New York Knicks?
Well, I've had a lot of great memories of playing for the Knicks. The best one is beating Indiana to finally make it to the final, coming one shot or one turnover to winning a ring, whatever you want to call it. But it's going to take some time to rebuild and to get it back to where it was. We were fortunate to win the lottery when I came out. It took us a few years, to become the team that we became. I had to mature. We traded for Oak. We had a myriad of coaches coming in and coming out. Finally, Pat Riley and Dave Checkers and Ernie came and brought stability back to the franchise, and that helped. I think David Fisdale is doing an outstanding job. He's a friend. He's a person that we text from time to time, and I'm sorry to see the backlash that he's receiving right now.
The most, again, I'm talking to the great Patrick Ewing. As a Knick fan that's seen it all, I saw your career starting with your freshman year at Georgetown, the hype, the next Bill Russell. And it's funny, Patrick, because when I watched you play in college, I thought of you as Bill Russell, this great defensive stopper. And you come to the Knicks and you became like this, a great outside shooter. The guy could shoot you never did that in college. How about making that transition to be, more of that type of player, really, than you were at Georgetown?
Well, I always could shoot. I always could score. Coach Thompson told me, you need to work on all the other parts of your game.
Right.
In college, I blocked shots, I scored, I rebound. And, even in the NBA, people don't give me credit for being a very good defensive center.
Oh, you were a great defensive player.
They just think of me being just a scorer. In my opinion, I scored, I rebounded, I blocked shots. I did it all. And I cursed both Jeff Van Gundy and Pat Riley for giving me for me having all these bad knees. All the times I had to trap the pick and roll.
Yeah. If you played now,
oh man,
you'd be shooting 37% from three. There's no doubt about it. You'd be taking it, and you'd be great at it, right? Have you thought about that?
No, people have asked me that question a lot, but I still think I would have played my game. Yes, I would have taken some threes, but I was a dominant force in the middle. I would step out to 16, 17 foot and shoot my jump shot. But I would get my three the hard way.
You know what? I'll remember a big three you hit.
Way,
1990, Game 5, final game of the opening round series against the Celtics in Boston, and you hit a huge three to kind of seal that win against the Celtics. You guys were down 0-2 in that series and won the last three. That's the three that will always stick out for me from Patrick Ewing.
Well, I enjoyed that one. I remember hitting one off the backboard, and Phil Jackson was like, it's luck. I was like, be quiet.
Yeah, tell me. Right.
But no, that was a great three. I was home back in Boston. My
right.
friends and families was at the game. We were down to the Celtics. We were going against a great Celtics team with Larry, Parrish, DJ, and all those, and Kevin McHale, and to beat them in the Game 5, it was remarkable.
We're talking to the great Patrick Ewing, head coach of Georgetown. They're going to take on Texas Thursday night at Madison Square Garden. It's the 25th annual 2K Empire Classic, which is benefiting the Wounded Warrior Project. Do you think, because I kind of look at what you're doing at Georgetown, and this school has shown progress every year you've been there, right? So you're already seeing the progress of you coaching this team, that the mistakes that have been made of you not getting a head coaching chance in the NBA, I think it's going to change. But do you think you're going to look at it and say, you know what, guys, you had your shot. I like doing what I'm doing, and that you may be the one to decide, I don't want to coach in the NBA. This is now my passion. How do you look at that in the next 5 to 10 years? Because I could see the teams come a-calling, especially the Knicks someday. I could totally see that happening, Patrick.
Well, I am happy to be doing what I'm doing. I have a passion for coaching. And if anybody comes calling, I listen. But, my goal is to try to get us here back at Georgetown, back to the way that it used to be. I wanted us to be the hunted like we were when I was here.
And your Georgetown years, because you were one of the great college players of all time. I mean, 4 years you were there. You went to the finals 3 times. You went to the championship game. Probably could have easily won all 3. I mean, that brutal loss to North Carolina. You beat Olajuwon in Houston for the championship in '84, and then of course the loss to Villanova. I mean, that was. That had to
don't
be
bring that one up.
I know,
don't bring that one up.
That's as tough as it gets, man.
That still hurts.
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Hurts.
I'm sure, but as far as when I think of a great college play, and I'm an old man, Patrick. I mean, I saw Kareem play in high school, so that shows you how old I am. But I mean, when I think of the great college players of all time, you're right. You got to be top 5.
Well, they have me up there. I think Kareem was voted number 1. I think I was voted in the top. Well, yes, I was voted in the top 5.
You should be.
I had a great college career, and I had some great guys that surrounded me, and I also had a great coach. My college career was 4 of the best years of my life, and I still cherish it.
When you look back at your time in New York City, you come in with obviously tons of hype because of what we're talking about. You're a tremendous college player. What was the overall experience? 15 years in this town with a lot of highs, some lows, the learning experience of dealing with New York City, the demand from the fans, demand from the media. What was that overall 15-year up and down experience like for you?
Well, we had, like you said, we had our ups and we had our downs, but we were right there. It started out rocky in terms of us. I got hurt the first 2 years. We weren't winning. Like I said before, we had a lot of coaches come and go. But once we got stability, it was great. We were always in the playoffs, always, pushing to win a championship. It didn't happen, but we were always right there in the talks to win one. So it was a great experience for me. I loved every minute of it.
You know what I always loved too, and like I said, as a big Knicks fan, and all there was a lot of real tough losses. There's no doubt about it, but I don't want to get into that. But you always wiped up Alonzo Mourning. I love that, and the last great moment that this Knicks franchise had was when you guys beat I guess it was the 2000 second round in 2000 conference semifinals. You beat Miami in Game 7 in Miami, and you stuck it to Alonzo that game. I'll never forget that. That's like the last really great moment in the history of the franchise. Why did you always have Mourning's number, Patrick?
Well, I'm not going to say I had his number.
No, you did.
We had battles. We battled. We had some great battles, and he's a friend of mine. I'm the godfather of his kids.
Wow.
But we had some great wars. I was fortunate enough to come out on top of most of them. But it was fun.
Except the one you got hosed with the bench nonsense in '97. What a joke! What a joke that was! Oh my God, that was one of the biggest jokes of all time. What did you do? Walk 5 feet off the bench and they suspended? It was a joke.
Yeah, I was crushed.
Yeah.
I was crushed.
Yeah, well, you weren't alone.
No.
Thank y'all, fellas, for having me on. I'm going to have to run.
Hey, Patrick, good luck in the season. Good luck against Texas on Thursday. It was a pleasure. It was really an honor to have you on. Thank you.
No, I appreciate that, fellas.
Thank you, man.
You be well.
The head coach of Georgetown, but you know him as Knick legend Patrick Ewing.
I could do the whole show with this guy.
Of course.
Are you kidding me?
When you talk about the history of this town and the history of some of the legends that have come through.
And just the history of basketball. Like I said, because he was in college, like he said, voted top 5 all-time college player. He had to be.
No, absolutely.
He was unbelievable.
And now he's coaching his alma mater, Georgetown. They're going to take on Texas Thursday night. It's the first of the doubleheader for the 25th annual 2K Empire Classic, which benefits the Wounded Warrior Project, which is great. And then Duke, California. The consolation game will be Friday, and hopefully they'll be in the championship game, which will be 7 o'clock.
Yep.
Go to Ticketmaster.com.
I root for them now that Patrick's coaching.
Yeah, why not?
And he outlasted Chris Mullen. How about that?
He certainly did.